This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on India's commitment to create a clean and dope-free sports ecosystem. The participants are Ritu, Sain, Director General, National Anti-Doping Agency, and AIR Correspondent Omvesh Upadhyay.
All aspects of the anti-doping program are important even as India is making rapid strides towards excellence in sport. NADA would make all attempts to spread awareness towards making Indian sport, including sport for athletes with disabilities, dope-free. And today to discuss on this in detail, we are joined by Ritu Sain, Director General, NADA. Welcome to the program, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
And ma'am, to begin the discussion, I would like you to simplify to our listeners what is doping and why do athletes take banned substances? Is it always intentional?
So, doping is when an athlete is using prohibited substances and methods for enhancing their performance. Because when they do that, they actually commit anti-doping rule violations because they are not supposed to do that. The game has to be fair. Second, generally athletes do it, like few of them do it knowingly, which we call intentional doping. They do it while knowing everything about it, that what they are taking, why they are taking. They are very clear about it. Most of them do it unknowingly. They don't know that the consequences of taking something or consuming something or applying something may lead to, doping.
Okay.
Because what they are consuming, that might have prohibited substances in that. Now, why do athletes dope? This is a very, very important question. I think sometimes they feel vulnerable.
Okay.
Sometimes they have pressure. Sometimes they are anxious that their performance is not increasing, or sometimes they fall prey to, the marketing gimmicks. That something, if they consume, then they would do, their performance would be better. But most of the time, I think the athletes forget one thing, that is the principle of strict liability. And what do we mean by that? Any athlete is responsible. I mean, they are themselves responsible for what they are consuming, what is going in their body. So whether it is intentional or unintentional, ultimately if it is positive, then it is positive. So my approach or my advice to all our athletes is that please be aware.
Absolutely, ma'am. And to take the discussion forward, I would also like to talk about today's conference that we had on paving a path for clean sports environment. Ma'am, how many such events are planned to be conducted in the future? And if you talk about the significance of today's conference, if you can share this with our listeners.
So today we had organized a conference which was primarily focused on risks associated with nutritional supplements for our athletes. Because we wanted to sensitize not only the athletes, athlete support personnel, coaches, medical practitioners, but also the entire sports ecosystem about issues and consequences related to use of nutritional supplements which might contain prohibited substances. It is often seen, in fact there are reports, there are studies where it is found that many of the adverse analytical findings are due to inadvertent use of nutritional supplements which had prohibited substances in them. So our idea was to sensitize, to educate and to empower our athletes and the ecosystem about these consequences so that when they make a choice, they make an informed choice. They know about the consequences, they know about what they are supposed to be aware of. So today's conference was to engage all those stakeholders and to empower them with the right decision-making tools before using nutritional supplements. And in future, yes. We plan to organize many such events. We have been organizing workshops, conferences, webinars, because our idea is to prevent doping by spreading word of education, by spreading awareness and by providing right information. And we believe that any athlete's first experience with anti-doping should be through education and not through doping control.
Ma'am, today the Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports, Mr. Anurag Singh Thakur, also launched the Know Your Medicine app. I want to understand from you that what are the main uses of this app and how will it enable athletes to make informed decisions about their medication?
So this application is primarily targeted towards athletes, coaches, medical practitioners, whoever who is advising medicine to the athlete or athlete who is consuming medicine for something. There are many medicines which contain prohibited substances as declared by WADA every year. So many a times athlete is not in a position to check with their physician or check whether the particular medicine which they are going to take has any prohibited substance or not. And when they do it unknowingly, then many of the times they end up having their dope tests positive, which is called inadvertent doping due to lack of this awareness. So we wanted to give this tool to our athletes and sports ecosystem where they can use this application to find out whether any medicine contains any prohibited substance or not. So this application is having a dynamic database with what WADA list and what Drug Controller General of India list of drug database. So this application would update and provide a dynamic information to the athletes. So they can go to this application and find out before consuming. So I think this will ultimately empower athletes with this tool and which should prevent inadvertent doping.
And ma'am, there is also a revolutionary step by the Indian government about the athlete biological passport tool. Is it a bit technical? So I would like you to explain this in a simpler terms to our listeners, that how it is helping in dealing with anti-doping.
So athlete biological passport is a tool to basically, I won't say that it is to detect doping, but it is to deter doping.
Okay.
So it is basically the blood sample of the athletes, and that blood sample is basically studied, and the changes in that blood sample they are studied, and so basically it is used in deterring doping and also for research and coming up with advanced mechanism for anti-doping measures. So India is also participating in this program, and we are moving towards having an independent APMU in India which will manage this program.
And ma'am, last year the Government of India enacted the National AntiDoping Act 2022, which has been a long-standing goal as a mark of India's unfaltering commitment to the global anti-doping movement. How significant it has been, and ma'am, what's your take on this?
So this act is a milestone, a remarkable milestone to exhibit our commitment towards our obligations for clean sport and our commitment to have a fair play in the... As you are aware that in India there is a momentum now for sports and excellence in sports. And with this act provides a legal architecture, the administrative mechanism, and also the backing by the legislature in all our efforts. So I would say that this act is going to have a measure impact on the way we do anti-doping in India and with the way we want to have clean sport ecosystem in our country.
To mention here that Union Minister Anurag Thakur, while speaking in Parliament in 2022 last year, said that we will even educate right down the school level about doping and promoting positive sports values from an early age, because that is the key to ensure that young athletes practice clean sport at a tender age. This year in March, NADA and NCERT signed a MOU to include developing e-content in a simple format on sports values. So ma'am, how does the inclusion of sports value can transform the real sports industry and the sports field?
It is very important that we reach out to the schools, to the young athletes, to the budding athletes where they are playing now. Because today's budding athletes will be tomorrow's Olympians and the national medalists. So shouldn't we train them where they are, where they are growing now, where they are pursuing their aspirations to be successful sports person. And I think our partnership with NCERT and Ministry of Education is a big step forward, because not only allows us to engage with that target group, but it also allows us to disseminate and also to, empower those budding athletes, their parents and their ecosystem to have these sport value education, to have these values of integrity and fair play right from the beginning. I think this partnership is a very, very critical step towards that, and I'm very happy to share that from last month itself we have started taking the programs. Our programs are getting live, many people are watching them, experts are coming and talking. So last month only the PM Vidya channel, there was a program to educate athletes and their parents on various dimensions. So this is a good beginning to actually realize what our Honorable Minister had stated in the Parliament.
And very well explained by you, ma'am. In the continuation, I would like to also talk about the doping in sports. The Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports Government of India did a Food Safety and Standards Authority of India and National Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, Hyderabad, signed a tripartite MOU to create nutritional supplement testing capacity in India to provide information and build awareness about the risks associated with the use of nutritional supplements. You were earlier discussing about that the sports person should be responsible to know that what is going in their body and what should not go. Could you brief how significant this MOU and how NADA is making sure that all this happens with ease?
So, at present we have regulations by Food Safety Standards Authority of India which should regulate that the nutritional supplements, or what they call FSTU, food for special dietary use, should not have prohibited substances. But how do you ensure? We need to create capacity in our country by which we can test those supplements, and we can make sure that, or we can have some mechanism of giving a clearance or a certification that these are safe from these prohibited substances. Our MOU with NIPER Hyderabad and also with NFSU Ahmedabad is a step towards creating that capacity, the testing capacity of nutritional supplements. Because this is an emerging area and this industry is growing, and as the awareness on fitness and health is rising and the successful career in sports is also getting recognition from society, the need for supplements is also increasing. But we want to make sure that the nutritional supplements available in the market, particularly for athletes, high performing athletes, should be free from these prohibited substances. And this MOU is basically a step towards creating that testing capacity by which our athletes will be benefited, because then they would be knowing about prohibited substances, ingredients in those nutritional supplements available in the market.
And ma'am, since we are entering the concluding stage of our program, I would like to know from you, and I would like you to share a message with our listeners, because you are working in the field from a long time. You have seen many case studies and policy level also. One short message from your side to the young sports person or to the listeners of our All India Radio.
So my message to all my dear athletes is that we believe in you and you are going to have great success, but please keep your success clean. Achieve it through fair means and don't fall prey to doping and any other unfair means. And be aware what you are eating, what you are consuming, what you are taking in your body, because your awareness is your strength. Your information, your knowledge about the subject, the substances will ultimately save you. So make it your shield and don't be weak and vulnerable to many things which are not fair.
And with your insightful input, we hope that this program might be of great help to the sports person and our listeners. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us today on All India Radio.
Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
You were listening to a discussion on India's commitment to create a clean and dope-free sports ecosystem. The participants were Ritu, Sain, Director General, National Anti-Doping Agency, and AIR Correspondent Omvesh, Upadhyay. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at AIRNSDtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 928-909-4044.